Have you ever wondered if your generosity might actually be harming your children without you even realizing it? It sounds paradoxical, does it not? We are taught our whole lives that the more we give to our children, the happier they will be. The more we sacrifice, the more grateful they will become. The more we worry on their behalf, the less they will suffer. But what if that kindness becomes an invisible trap, holding back the very children we love most? Let me tell you the story of Elena. Elena had just retired after more than 30 years of work. She had spent her entire youth nurturing her family, and now, with a modest savings and a small amount of property, she had only one wish: to leave her children a truly secure future. She planned to give her eldest son, Carlos, a large sum of money so that he would not have to struggle like I did. She wanted to give her daughter, Anna, a beach house so that she would have a place to rest whenever she felt tired. She even planned to support Luis, her youngest child, by intervening in every decision he made, from his career and living arrangements to his romantic life. Everything came from love, from a heart that wanted to shield her children from the world so that they would never face hardship. But before Elena could carry out her plans, an elderly neighbor, Don Javier, a calm and thoughtful man, said something that left her speechless. "Elena," he said gently, "sometimes giving too much is like overwatering a plant. It does not help it grow. It makes it die slowly." Elena was confused. Her heart protested. "But I only want what is best for my children." Yet the steady eyes of Don Javier showed no blame, only understanding. And in that gaze, Elena felt that perhaps she was about to learn a lesson greater than anything she had ever known about love. In Stoic philosophy, there is an important principle. Love is not about doing everything for someone else, but about helping them become a stronger version of themselves. And that was something Elena had never considered. So to avoid making the same mistake as Elena, a mistake born from love but ending in harm, here are 7 things you should never give to your children if you want them to grow up responsible, resilient, and capable of standing on their own. Let's begin. The first thing: do not give your children money unconditionally. Elena always believed that giving money to her children was one of the noblest acts of love. After retiring, she had saved a modest amount, enough to make her proud that she could ease her child's burdens. Carlos was the first she thought of. She believed that with this little money, her son would have a better start, a lighter path, and would not struggle as she had in the past. Carlos's eyes lit up when he received the unexpected gift. He hugged his mother, thanked her repeatedly, and Elena was convinced she had done the right thing. But she did not realize that this moment had set in motion a spiral she could never have anticipated. In the first few days, Carlos felt as if he had stepped into a new chapter of life. The excitement led him to make a rash decision. He quit his job. "I want to pursue my dream," he told his mother confidently, but deep down, he simply thought, "I have money now. Why struggle anymore?" Without financial worries, Carlos began to enjoy life more comfortably than ever. But the more comfortable he became, the more he lost his sense of discipline and the very responsibility that defines a mature, grounded adult. The money seemed abundant, but in the hands of someone without goals, it disappeared faster than water. Bills piled up, yet Carlos looked for the easiest solutions. He spent more than he earned, living for today without thinking of tomorrow. And when problems arose, his first instinct was not to solve them himself, but to turn to his mother. At first, Elena thought this was normal, but over time, she realized that Carlos was becoming dependent on her in ways she had never intended. Psychologists call this the heir syndrome, when receiving too much too easily robs a person of the ability to face challenges. It is not because they are flawed, but because they were never trained to be strong. Philosopher Seneca once said, "Wealth is safe only when we know how to use it." A person who has never learned to generate money will not know how to keep it. And that was exactly what happened with Carlos. Elena finally understood that money itself was not wrong, but giving it at the wrong time creates dependence instead of independence. Children need skills, discipline, and inner strength before they need money. Money can make life easier for a while, but only resilience can sustain a person for a lifetime. The second thing: Do not give your children assets before they are ready. When Elena saw Carlos struggle after receiving the money, she felt guilty, yet she still believed it might be an isolated case. With Anna, she thought things would be different. Anna had always been the more mature, calm, and stable sibling. So Elena decided to give her the family's beach house that had been in their possession for many years. To Elena, it was the perfect gift, both an asset and a place full of memories. She believed Anna would appreciate it, take care of it, and use it wisely. When she received the house, Anna cried tears of joy. She imagined lazy afternoons gazing at the ocean, weekends inviting friends over, and a peaceful retreat from the pressures of life. Elena looked at her daughter with satisfaction, convinced she had given a gift valuable both materially and emotionally. But just a few months later, reality was far from the ideal. Tax bills arrived and overwhelmed Anna. Annual maintenance fees, roof repairs, waterproofing costs, mold treatment, and utility inspections, all the expenses Elena had silently handled before, now fell on Anna's shoulders. The beach house was no longer a retreat. It had become a silent collector, appearing punctually every month. Anna began to worry, then feel stressed, then exhausted. Whenever an issue arose, Elena would say, "The house is yours now. You must take responsibility." The problem was that Anna had never been prepared for that responsibility. A large asset requires management skills, a stable income, and a strong mindset. Anna was willing, but she lacked experience, knowledge, and preparation. As a result, the gift Elena had given her became an unwanted burden. In Stoic philosophy, there is an important principle. We are not troubled by possessions themselves, but by the responsibilities that come with them. Assets can be both a blessing and a burden, depending on the hands that hold them. Elena eventually understood that the value of a gift does not lie in its size or price, but in the recipient's ability to bear it. A gift given at the wrong time does not help a child grow. It only leaves them feeling trapped by overwhelming responsibilities. Giving assets is not wrong, but giving them before a child is ready is the quickest way for love to turn into a burden. The third thing, do not solve every problem for your children. For most of her life as a mother, Elena had believed that her duty was to shield her children from every difficulty. When Carlos had trouble with a colleague, she immediately called to check in and tried to mediate on his behalf. When Anna was stressed over an essay, Elena sat down and helped her to ease her burden. When Luis struggled to find an internship, she personally called friends to secure a spot in advance. Elena thought this was love, sacrifice, and what a mother was supposed to do. But she did not realize that these actions were taking away the most important thing from her children, the ability to stand on their own. Everything changed when Elena began to notice her children's growing dependence. Carlos, nearly 30, still panicked over a small criticism from his boss and immediately called his mother for guidance. Anna feared failure so much that even minor decisions caused anxiety, because for years Elena had solved problems for her before she could face them herself. Luis, the youngest, did not dare make a choice on his own, knowing Mom will arrange it for me. One afternoon, when Elena was complaining to Don Javier about how the children always need me, he just smiled and said, "Elena, if you lift the weights for them their whole life, how will they ever build muscle?" The gentle words left Elena speechless. For the first time, she realized that she had turned love into unconscious control. She was not giving her children strength. She was giving them reasons to remain weak. Stoics understand that hardship is a lesson, not an enemy. A child who never experiences failure will never learn to rise. An adult who has never solved problems on their own will always live in fear. Epictetus once said, "No one becomes strong by avoiding adversity." Elena began to change. When Carlos called for advice, she asked, "What solution do you think is best?" When Anna complained that a situation was too difficult, Elena did not jump in to help, but suggested she try handling it in small steps. When Luis urged, "Mom, just do it for me," Elena calmly said, "You can do it. I believe in you." At first, her children were disappointed by the absence of familiar rescue. But after a few months, Elena noticed signs of growth she had never seen before. Carlos was calmer, Anna more confident, and Luis more responsible. And Elena understood that sometimes love does not mean clearing the path for your children, but allowing them to learn to walk on their own, even if the first steps are slow and awkward. The fourth thing, do not give advice to your children when they have not asked for it. For many years, Elena believed that advice was the most valuable gift a mother could give her children. She thought her life experience was enough to help them avoid unnecessary mistakes. So whenever Anna began to talk about school, Elena would immediately interject, "You should do it this way." When Luis mentioned a colleague, she would say, "You have to behave like this." When Carlos shared about life, she spoke with certainty, "I told you, you must choose this way to be right." Elena had no ill intentions. Every word came from genuine care. But she did not realize that her concern was becoming an invisible burden on her 3 children. Gradually, her children began to withdraw. Not because they had nothing to share, but because they knew that anything they said would be immediately guided. Anna became cautious, sharing only trivial matters. Luis hesitated to speak, fearing that his mother would jump to conclusions before hearing the whole story. Carlos withdrew, feeling that every conversation with his mother was more like a performance review than a real dialogue. Elena did not understand what was happening. She only noticed that her children called less, shared less, and asked for fewer opinions. Then one afternoon, when she complained to Don Javier that the children no longer confide in me, he slowly said, "Elena, advice when it is not requested is like entering someone's room without knocking." Those words stunned her. She realized she had never truly listened. She had only been waiting for her turn to speak. In psychology, this behavior is called unsolicited advice, a type of advice that makes the recipient feel judged, undervalued, or incapable. Children raised in such an environment often develop low self-esteem, anxiety, or emotional disconnection from their parents. Philosopher Epictetus reminded us, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we may listen more than we speak." Stoics understand that listening is an act of respect, calm, and wisdom. Elena began to change. When Anna shared something, she simply asked, "How do you feel?" When Carlos faced difficulties, she gently asked, "Do you want me to help or just listen?" When Luis expressed frustration, she remained silent until he truly needed advice, and a miracle happened. Elena's children began to open up more, speak more deeply, and share more honestly. Not because she spoke more, but because for the first time in her life, she had learned to be silent and listen. The fifth thing, do not compare your children to others. Elena never imagined that her small comparisons could hurt her children. She still believed they were just ways to encourage them to strive. When Anna achieved good results, she would turn to Luis and gently say, "Look at your sister and learn." When Carlos was promoted, she told Anna, "You have to be as strong as your brother." To Elena, these were just words of encouragement, but to her children, they were subtle cuts, repeated so often that they became wounds difficult to heal. Luis endured this for many years. He always felt behind his siblings, constantly measured against them to see who is better. He tried his best, but his efforts were always overshadowed by the standards his mother held up. One evening when Elena casually said, "Why can't you be like Anna?" Luis put down his chopsticks, his eyes red, and replied with a trembling voice, "Mom, you never see me as enough. How can I be anyone other than myself?" The room fell silent. Carlos avoided his mother's gaze. Anna held her brother's hand, feeling the pain for him, and Elena stood there, stunned, realizing that her seemingly gentle words carried such weight. Psychologists have shown that children who are frequently compared tend to develop lower self-esteem, higher anxiety, and difficulty forming positive relationships with siblings. Because in every comparison, what they hear is not, "Try harder," but "You are not good enough." Philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "No two people are alike. Each is a world unto themselves." Comparing two different people is as unreasonable as blaming a bird for not knowing how to swim. After that tearful evening, Elena decided to change. She learned to see each child with new eyes, not to judge who was better, but to recognize what was most special about each one. She praised Anna for her perseverance without drawing Luis into the comparison. She acknowledged Carlos' efforts without imposing standards on anyone else. And with Luis, whenever he accomplished something, no matter how small, Elena said, "I am proud of you for being yourself." Without comparisons, Elena's family could breathe more freely. Her children began to see each other with empathy instead of competition. And Luis, who had always feared falling short, finally had the space to become himself in the most peaceful way. The sixth thing, do not place overwhelming expectations on your children. Deep in her heart, Elena always believed that setting high expectations for her children was the best way to motivate them to strive. She wanted Anna to become an outstanding lawyer, Carlos a successful entrepreneur, and Luis a genius artist. Every reminder, word of encouragement, and piece of guidance came from love. She believed that if her children met the standards she envisioned, their lives would be easier and happier. But reality proved otherwise. The pressure of excessively high expectations made her children tired, anxious, and gradually eroded their ability to make decisions for themselves. Anna began to feel stressed before every exam, no longer enjoying learning or taking pride in her own achievements. Carlos felt confused in his career decisions because he constantly feared falling short of his mother's expectations. Luis did not dare to pursue his true musical passion, fearing that it was not the extraordinary talent Elena had hoped for. Each reminder, that seemed like motivation became a burden, causing the children to doubt their own abilities. Stoic philosophy reminds us that every person is born with their own path. Marcus Aurelius once said, "No two people are alike. Each is a world unto themselves." Expectations imposed from the outside, even when born of love, are like forcing a bird to swim in a pond instead of flying. They do not help a child grow. They stifle the ability to explore on their own. Elena realized that instead of continuing to push, she needed to step back and ask her children, "What do you want? How do you feel?" These simple questions allowed her children to assess, choose, and take responsibility for their own decisions. Carlos began to take initiative. Anna gradually found joy in learning, and Luis dared to pursue his musical passion without fearing his mother's disappointment. Through this experience, Elena understood that expectations should be paired with flexibility and respect for individuality. True love does not impose a path. It provides a compass for children to find their own way. When parents teach with trust and give freedom, children learn the value of effort and responsibility, gifts far more precious than any achievement or title. The final thing is, do not give your children unconditional love. Among all the things Elena had done out of a loving heart, perhaps giving her children unlimited love was the most dangerous. Not because it lacked affection, but because it loved in a way that prevented her children from ever growing up. Elena believed that love meant unconditional sacrifice, doing everything for her children without asking for anything in return. She cleaned Carlos's house even though he was 30, cooked, did laundry, paid his bills, and even spoke on his behalf when he had trouble at work, believing that this was love. But she did not realize that this kind of love was slowly turning Carlos into a man who could not stand on his own. He did not know how to cook a simple meal. He did not know how to handle minor conflicts. He did not know how to manage difficulties independently. And most sadly, he did not know who he truly was beyond relying on his mother. Anna fell into a similar pattern. When she faced sadness, instead of confronting it, she ran home to her mother. When she failed, she blamed circumstances and waited for her mother to rescue her. Whenever she needed to make a decision, she always asked, "What do you think, Mom?" Each time, Elena thought she was providing a safe harbor, but in reality, she was becoming a shadow so large that her children could not find their own light. Luis, the youngest, was quieter but no less dependent. He had grown accustomed to the idea that a single call would bring his mother running. He was used to being cared for, indulged, and forgiven unconditionally. And these very things prevented Luis from learning limits, responsibility, and maturity, the values every young person needs to step confidently into life. Neighbor Don Javier said something that awakened Elena. Unbounded love is not love. It is fear. Fear that your child will be hurt, fear that they will fail, fear that they will no longer need you. Stoic philosophy reminds us that love is about helping others become resilient, not keeping them trapped in dependence. Epictetus once said, "No one grows up unless they take responsibility for their own life." After a long period of reflection, Elena realized that she had been trading her children's growth for the feeling of being needed. And that was not love, it was sweet bondage. She began to set boundaries. When Carlos asked for help with small tasks, she said, "Try doing it first, and I will support you afterward." When Anna wanted her to decide for her, she asked, "This is your life. What do you want to choose?" When Luis demanded unreasonable indulgence, she gently said, "No." At first, all three children reacted, but after just a few months, change began to appear. Carlos learned to take care of himself. Anna learned to face pressure. Luis began to take more responsibility. And Elena, who had once feared losing her children, realized that it was precisely these boundaries that made love within the family healthy and sustainable. True love is not about doing everything for your children. It is about teaching them to do everything for themselves. Looking back on the whole story, Elena realized that what she had once thought of as unconditional love had in fact unintentionally limited her children's growth. She understood that love is not about doing everything for them, solving every problem, imposing expectations, or giving without considering their abilities. True love is about placing trust, creating opportunities, and giving children the ability to stand firmly on their own feet. After setting reasonable boundaries, Elena witnessed change. Carlos handled his work independently, Anna faced challenges with greater confidence, and Luis began to take responsibility for his choices. Moments she had once feared as losses became proof of her children's growth. Elena realized that by stepping back and not over-controlling, she not only protected her children's freedom but also built a closer, more connected family, where love could be felt without being restrictive. If you have followed this far, ask yourself, are you unintentionally holding your children too tightly, causing dependence instead of fostering growth? Are you ready to give them the chance to learn, stumble, and rise on their own? Leave a comment to share your thoughts or a personal reminder for yourself. If you found this video helpful, hit like and subscribe to continue exploring deep Stoic lessons on love, boundaries, and raising children. Remember, the greatest love is not about giving everything, but teaching your children to create and achieve for themselves while growing through their own journey.